and in the dark of the cave, we begin another story. And this one is going to be the story of Powerstruck. So we're going to go with the first couple. So Powerstruck has been through a lot. Powerstruck originally was a slides presentation story I made, which, by the way, never write a first draft as a PowerPoint presentation. It was literally like terrible. Stuff got cut off. There's terrible animations. If I ever get enough views, share, comment, like, subscribe if you want to ever see this monstrosity, because it is something. Anyway, but the first rendition is pretty spectacular. So if you watched my previous video, basically I made a lot of self-inserts as I started writing. I mean, I hated reading at the time, so I basically just had me as a good main character focus because I knew myself and I didn't know how to write much else. The only writing I ever read was the stuff we were forced to read in school that I hated. And then, as an English major now, I think that's hilarious. But, that and Star Wars encyclopedias and, like, the kids' Star Wars books and stuff. And, like, Wikipedia entries. If it was Star Wars, I'd read it. But then I was, like, basically trying to transcribe film and, like, the shows that I was watching into, my stories. So I was watching The Flash at the time. So keep this in mind if you know The Flash. Anyway, we start out with our main character. At this point, she was called Star. Almost all my characters were called Star for some reason. Okay, not for some reason. My nickname is Star because my last name is actually Ward. So I was Star Ward. It was play on it. I didn't come up with it. My friends did. So, you know, they know me. Anyway, so I called all my characters Star. I didn't know what to call my main character. So I think that's what she was at the time. Now she's Ira, so we're gonna call her Ira just to make it simple. So basically, she's just walking through life, and then she saves this kid, and then gets struck by lightning, and then goes into a coma for 9 months. I think it was 9 months, something like that. And then she wakes up, and there's this guy named John Quiche, who's like Tony Stark. I love that I remember all of this so vividly. Anyway, her friends are there, and then, like, fog and stuff starts happening. There's the Target tag games, which was insane. I don't even know why that was. And there was this delinquent runaway that they captured. They had to go up to Mount Everest. It was insane. Pink fluffy clouds, and then they jump through the portal, and then they're in space, and there's all prophecy. This is basically the preface. I'm gonna keep it there. If there's a ton of details and tons of terrible dialogue, but we're gonna keep it there because yeah, like I said, if you want to hear this monstrosity, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make it into a video one day when I have time to record when I'm not in the car. But basically, we get another rendition of this story. Fast forward from 4th grade. I think that's when I wrote this one in 5th grade. So from 5th grade, because yeah, Silent Stone was 6th grade. We go to 7th grade. We have All But Ordinary. So 7th to 8th, somewhere within there, I decided to revamp Powerstruck. And then it's essentially the same story, just written better. But now there's like a whole government conspiracy. It takes place in Mountain View, California, for some reason. I can't believe I remember all of this from my stories. I haven't even read this in a while. And then yeah, she gets struck by lightning. She has all of these weird visions, and it's training and stuff. It's way more angsty. I mean, middle school angst, okay? I had to write it in there. And then but this time, in order to enter the portal, you have to die. So there's stakes in it, because then it's oh, because she has to go into this other world, but in order to go into this other world, she has to die, but she's being hunted by the government, and then I believe her best friend got shot, so then they're like, we gotta enter the portal now, but the portal will kill them. Yet, it's something. And then the jerk boy, who is basically an F-boy, annoying jerk, but obviously he's going to transform and whatever, sacrifices himself so they could get away, and then one of the other friends was trying to find them, and then they were supposed to team up. This is as far as like I know what was actually written, but they team up, and then we go into the other realm, and that's basically as far as that version got, and then I stopped writing. But I decided to revamp it more recently because I was like, okay, there's something here that's interesting and it could work. And then I've been getting into mythology and stuff because even though I hated reading at the time, now I love reading and I think it's really fun and great, and I wish I had more time. That's why I do audiobooks generally when I'm in the car. But basically the new version, I decided, needs to be more, because the way it was written, it's honestly more towards like the middle grade audience. So we're kind of looking at more of a story like Keeper of the Lost Cities, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, stuff like that. That genre and that target demographic. And then Ira was kind of written as that delinquent whatever character. So she would actually want to run away to the new world completely. So I was like, okay, she's going to have like a lot of people trying to control her. So it became more about what would make sense for Ira rather than like, oh, what would make a fun story? Because honestly, characters make the story. People make the story. That's what makes it. You could have a terrible ass plot line. Could be awful. But if you have really fun characters to follow, people will ride or die with them. They will not give a shit, pardon my language, about anything. They won't care if their characters are that fun. Like, they can just literally go on a walk to the mall, and if they're fun to read, you got it. So with her, just kind of wanted to make her like delinquent runaway. That's been always the idea with her though, delinquent runaway, and essentially going from that to having to have responsibilities, being given powers, and then making the best friend like a more interesting character. I don't want to give too much away yet. I'll leave that for future videos, but making her more integral to the plot instead of just like a tag-along character. There's a character named Tag-Along in the very first rendition of this story. That's why that was funny. But making her more integral to the story. So having her tied, a little spoiler, having her tied to like the other realms and stuff helps. Also, I want to incorporate Zodiac, Norse, and a little bit of Greco-Roman mythology, but it's mostly Norse mythology mixed with the Zodiac, which doing the Zodiac makes it Greco-Roman. I say Greco-Roman because it's Greece and Rome mythology are fairly similar in the way I'm doing it. Kind of, it could be either, because the idea is like Keeper of the Lost Cities, it's all of like this old city myths and like all of like the fantasy stuff that we have myths about in our world. So it's kind of like that same idea, but in this one it's like realms of like instead of thinking it, because the second version of Power Stroke is more like the afterlife, this one's more like the 9 realms. So that way it makes sense, the jumping around, and then also Zodiac powers, which is pretty fun. So like you get to play with birth dates, and there's going to be like factions and groups, and then there's like the rogue faction where who like obviously Ira would love to run away because she hates the family that's taking care of her. It's like a very Harry Potter situation here, where she's just like, no, I want out and away from all of you. instead of like Keeper of the Lost Cities, where it's like way more sad when she has to leave, and Percy Jackson, where he's literally like forced away and protect, like that whole thing. So it's more of the Harry Potter situation where she's like, no, like I'm good to run away. If I have an out, let's go. But if the out is being forced upon me, nah, fam, we ain't doing this. So that's where we get more of like the hero's reluctant journey, because that's way more fun to play with if you can make your characters like not have reasons to reject what they are going and need to be. Having destiny forced upon you kind of sucks when you have to do something like, I gotta go to work, I gotta go to school, I've gotta do the chores at home, I have so much stuff I have to do. Instead, it's more of like that feeling of wanting to get to do something. I get to run away, I get to go to this place. That's what she wants to feel. But now she's feeling the, oh, I have to do what they're saying again. I have been listening to my family this whole time, and they are pain in the butts to me. Like, they're so rude. Like, seriously, I run away first chance I get, and they're so controlling, and I can't do anything. Like, they have the police bring me back because of the stupid will that my father had. So that's why I have to stay here. And I couldn't just, because if they hated me that much, honestly, they would have let me run away. But because of this will and this thing that my dad left, I need to stay. And it's just like a whole thing. And never knew my mom, so only had him. And after he passed away, like, it's been, that's her backstory. This all before the story. Anyway, that whole thing where essentially the idea, because in my old stories I felt way too plot focused, and it's way more fun, and the plot builds itself as you build characters. Like, I've learned a lot doing that. Oh, just a second, I have to make sure that I am not missing my exit. Did I miss my exit? Please tell me I did not miss my exit. Nope, we're good. But yeah, what was I saying? That's loading. Right, characters over plot. Now you're getting a lesson, okay? This is the English teacher in me. That is what I'm going to get my degree for right now. To teach people about English, about literature. But I learned all of this on my own through YouTube. And trial and error. But so essentially making her way more fun. And then I was debating between first person and third person for the story, and that's mostly because I really loved the third person in Keeper of the Lost Cities. But like, Percy Jackson was really fun to read because he's such a fun character to be inside of, to be in the head of, where you're really hearing what he thinks about everything. But you still got that with Sophie from Keeper of the Lost Cities, and I kind of liked that better. I don't know, it kind of just depends. And now I'm trying to remember, because I've written it both ways, because I've rewritten it and I don't remember which one I decided to go with. I'm gonna have to go look at that. But I think it was third person, because I was like, I don't know. My sci-fi series that I'm writing is all third person, and that's because I want to jump perspectives a lot. There is one, I think there's like a couple stories interjected in there that are first person, but they needed to be. That one's a big passion project. It's like currently at 9 books in the main series with some spin-offs and shorts, but that's an exception. But like with sci-fi, I like the third person better because it's really easy for the readers to switch focus, and that's just kind of when I started reading and liking reading, I started listening to was that this is some really awful traffic. I've been in this for over 2 hours. Sorry. Anyway, safer for recording, I guess. But anyway, back to Power Struck. That one, that's kind of where I'm at. Storyline wise, I'm kind of building it as it's very similar to what it was. I'm going to spoil a little bit of it, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I guess tune off. See you later. But I don't really care if you have some spoilers. You'll still have to read it new one day with the actual dialogue. But basically, it still starts off the same with her getting struck by lightning. But this time, beforehand, we're going to do the tropes. Because there's a reason the tropes work, okay? So, and it really works for her. And it's kind of fun to play with. And it's like getting to write my own story that I love so much. Because I really like those middle grade stories. I still think they're super fun. I love that anyone and everyone can read them. Like, you don't have to be that scared of handing it to a kid and being like, hey, read this for fun. Like, read Harry Potter. Yeah, there's dark themes in it. There's dark themes in everything. Have you watched Avatar The Last Airbender? That's a kid's show. So is She-Ra. There's dark themes in everything, and a lot of it goes over little ones' heads. So anyway, mini rant over. I love that genre, and I kind of want to write something in it, because the sci-fi ones that I'm writing, they're a mix of ranges. There's some where I'm like, yeah, like Star Wars. It's just kind of up to you, like which ones are okay for kids to watch. Like Rogue One's pretty heavy, but like the first Star Wars, yeah, little kids can watch that. Like episode 4, that's what I mean by the first one. But with Power Struck, we're starting off with the tropes. Sorry, I get distracted a lot. We're starting off with her. I need some coffee. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. Okay. We're starting off with her and her family, and starting off that dynamic right off the bat with some dialogue, fun stuff, like with her talking back snarky. We get her character voice. We get a lot of what she's like, and some interjections of like why she's still there, like that whole setup that I explained earlier. And then we get her wanting to go on this field trip, and her family was like, no. And then they're finally like, yeah, we'll sign off on it, but you've got to get yourself there like super early in the morning. So she literally has to sprint to school, and it's freaking far. So she's like running, and she's like, and I got up late, just like, this sucks. But she wants to go on this field trip with her friend that she originally wasn't going to go on. But the principal was basically like, hey, send her on this field trip. And the family was like, fine, we'll do it. So she gets to go because of that, and then you get to meet the principal, and there's like and the principal for some reason is going to be chaperoning, and there's a reason for that. And that's where we'll have the whole she gets struck by lightning scene. And also I've been making sure to like write in like ties, so like there's like little like phrases and little things that she says where you're like, that's interesting. So like, okay, we're dealing with mythology, because she makes like a fun witty remark involving a pantheon, so like a group of gods. So we know that that's the kind of story we're gonna get, because it's good to establish your stuff right off the bat. It just sets the tone and everything for the readers. I have to merge. We will make it. But yeah, it's good to set it off right off the bat, just to make sure that readers know what they're getting into. Okay, like with Percy Jackson, they make a ton of comments on mythology. For this one, we're going to lean more in towards Norse than obviously Greek mythology. So we're also going to have lots of like trickster type stuff. Obviously, you can't do Norse mythology without tricksters. That would be like blasphemy. So have that interjected, have her little comments about like feeling the weather, because that's what the power was originally. It was like weather powers. Now it's more of like storm, space, controlling like everything. So just establishing that through the prose. Yeah, so that's kind of what I have so far. I have like a lot more in depth and in detail. Like I've been building up the world. I have my character sheets and stuff like that. I actually do have some artwork of the characters from a while back. If you ever want to see those, again, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else to start us off with Power Struck. I know I'll revisit this one again, but right now you're pretty caught up to where I'm at with the story. I've just been outlining it. It's technically all outlined. I know what's going to happen. There's going to be the whole academy thing. That's always super fun. It's a really easy way to get characters to like together. There's a whole like, what is it called when you've like the marriage contract, the arranged marriage, the arranged dating system. There's that kind of thing in Keeper of the Lost Cities, where like you find your matches. So this one is like more of like the K-drama thing where they're like, oh, we are Leos, and we are the regal Leos. We need you to match with a Virgo, because for some reason, one way or another, that's going to enhance your powers of your child. Like that whole like magic thing. It's very tropish, but tropes work, and this is just a fun story for me. Okay, I want it to include all those dumb tropes that I love. And you know what? Screw it if it's not super original. It's fun. It's fun to write. Writers, you'll get me. It's just fun. I enjoy it. It's just to come up with these stories, see what the characters do. Yes, I do plan my stories now. I used to be just a pantster writer where I would just write whatever, and by the seat of my pants, I'd have an idea. It's how All But Ordinary happened. Ooh, that one's probably next to talk about. That was something. That was really something. Sorry, flashbacks. But yeah, that's Power Struck. It's in its third rendition, which isn't too bad, actually. I'm sure it'll get more and more rewrites, but the story itself has been a lot better. I've also done a lot more reading, so that helps. It makes it easier for me to understand what makes a good book. So if you hate reading, maybe find something that you like. Like for me, it was Emily Winsnap for some reason that got me into reading. Obviously, I read Star Wars random nonsense, but after that, I read Dreamhouse Kings and other, and then Star Wars novels and stuff. Finally, like this view of my hand. It's great. But yeah, and as I am turning on to my road in order to get home, I guess I will sign off. I hope you enjoyed listening to Power Struck, and we'll tune in for the next story. I have a lot of stories to talk about. Don't worry, I'll keep them coming, and then as I learn more about Power Struck, and if you have any questions for me, I will answer them. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next one. Drive safe. Bye.